Andor Season 2 is over.
It's not true. That's impossible.
Sadly, that is the truth. This is the last 3 breakdown videos I will ever do for the Andor series. However, this is not a sad occasion. These 3 episodes were the perfect ending.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
And we kick off the week with episode 10. From Dedra finally putting the pieces together and finding Luthen at his gallery, to the backstory of Luthen and Clea being revealed, to an even bigger reveal from Lonnie to Luthen of this massive weapon we know to be the Death Star being created by the Empire. And to top it all off, the death of my favorite character in this entire Andor series, Luthen. Yeah, that's right, a whole lot went down in this 10th episode, so without further ado, let's break it down. This episode opens 1 year later. It's a year after episode 9, after Mon Mothma had escaped the Senate with the help of Cassian Andor, and a year after the Gorman massacre. The year is now 1 BBY, which means before the Battle of Yavin, which is the battle at the end of A New Hope. So since there has been a year since we last saw these characters, we start with a bang, as we are thrown right into the chaos that is going on inside the ISB, as the opening scene shows an alarm going off in Luthen's gallery, and Clea wakes up in the middle of the night to see this emergency alarm. Now, this alarm was set off by Lonnie. Lonnie is a supervisor at the ISB. We've seen him a lot over the course of these 2 seasons of Andor, as he is a rebel spy for Luthen. Probably his most important rebel spy, as he has made his way pretty high up in the ISB. We see Clea help Luthen get ready for this emergency meeting with Lonnie because they have no idea what to expect. Clea even warns him, if it doesn't look perfect, then get out of there. To which Luthen responds with, I think we've used up all the perfect.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Luthen knows the reason he's not on Yavin right now is his time is almost up. He is almost the border between the Empire and Yavin, because Dedra and the others are obsessed with Axis, and they don't even know about the giant army that is being built by the rebellion on Yavin. But here we get a foreshadowing towards the flashbacks that happen throughout the course of this episode, as Luthen tells Clea to move. Later on in this episode, during the flashbacks when Clea is a lot younger, Luthen tells her, if I tell you to move, you have to move. And the reaction on Clea's face here says it all. She goes from a bit of a smile to a very serious face. Their relationship is a little give and take. We find out that Luthen is kind of a reason that her whole family is dead, but he also has been like the father figure for her for years. This 10th episode has made the relationship of these 2 characters so much more meaningful. And with that, Luthen goes to meet with Lonnie. Lonnie starts the conversation by warning Luthen, telling him that Dedra's putting together a team for some sort of operation on Coruscant. And he thinks, he doesn't know, but he thinks that she has figured out who Luthen is. Now, the reason he doesn't know that they're coming after Luthen is because he dug his nose too deep. He tells Luthen that he has had Dedra Meero's code cert for over a year now. And when he heard that Dedra was putting a team together on Coruscant, he went to look inside of Dedra's top secret files to see if they were coming after Luthen, and he found something far worse. He tells him that the Emperor's energy project has been a lie this entire time. The rebellion on Gorman was all just a front for the Empire to be able to mine the Calcite out of the planet. He even tells Luthen that on Jedha they are mining kyber crystals. And this is our first reference of many to the events of Rogue One. Jedha is this desert planet that used to be home to an old Jedi temple, and the Empire is using the kyber crystals on the planet to power the Death Star. The only problem is when Luthen asks what is this all for, the only answer that Lonnie can give is a weapon. He doesn't know what kind of weapon it is. He knows that Krennic has been working on it for over a decade and it's top secret. But as Luthen asks more about this weapon, we cut to him running down the stairs. He's gotten all the information that he can from Lonnie, and now he is a liability. So Luthen had to kill him. Now, the big question coming into these final 3 episodes was who was going to die, because a lot of these characters don't appear in Rogue One. So unless they were written out of the series like Bix was in episode 9 without dying, well then they would have to die in these last 3 episodes. And Lonnie was one of those characters, and he's just the first to go. And in a cool little Easter egg, we get to see a Loth cat on Coruscant checking out the dead body of Lonnie. But we then cut to Luthen and Clea, as Luthen has just told Clea everything that he heard from Lonnie. And Clea repeats back, Gorman, kyber crystals, Krennic, Urso, our first of many mentions of Galen Erso. Galen Erso is the architect. We meet him in Rogue One as Krennic handpicks him to be the one who creates the Death Star, but he does it against his will. So Galen Erso is really the only reason that the entirety of the original trilogy works and the reason that the rebellion succeeds, because he put a flaw in the Death Star plans. And that flaw is what allows Luke Skywalker a single X-Wing to destroy the entire space station. What was originally thought to be a very weak plot point in A New Hope has turned into one of the best Star Wars movies and shows of all time. And Galen Erso is the answer. So there's a super weapon. It's based on Scarif. It's got fuel from Gorman, kyber crystals from Jedha, Krennic's in charge, and Galen Erso is the architect. Luthen needs Kleia to remember all of this so that she can relay the message to the rebels on Yavin. And while she does that, Luthen is going to go back to the gallery and destroy all the evidence. However, while he is at the gallery destroying said evidence, there's a knock at the door. The meeting we've all been waiting for finally goes down as Dedra arrives at the gallery. Now, at first, she plays it off like she's just passing by, and maybe she's even looking for an antique. She starts asking Luthen about the authenticity of all these pieces in this gallery, and as they have this conversation, we see a lot of very cool little Easter eggs. Now, we've talked about a ton of these before in previous episodes where we see the gallery, but seeing the Temple Guard mask is always very, very cool. Padme Amidala's helmet is also pretty crazy, especially because we see Naboo later on in this episode. Now, the piece that Luthen shows to Dedra and says that they don't know if this is fake or not is what he calls a Nautolan bleeder. Now, the Nautolan species might sound familiar as a fan favorite Jedi by the name of Kit Fisto is of the species Nautolan. And you can even kind of see on the design of this blade a face or a head that looks similar to Kit Fisto. I know I've said it before, but Andor is just full of these ridiculous Easter eggs. Mentions of the Rakatan Empire to teases toward Padme Amidala to now Jedi Master Kit Fisto. It just keeps on getting better. But as Luthen takes the blade back, Dedra says that she has brought her own item to show him. And as she takes it out, it's a beat up old Imperial Starpath unit. But not just any Imperial Starpath unit, the same one that kickstarted this entire series of Andor. As back in Season 1 on Ferrix, when Luthen first meets Cassian Andor, Cassian brings him this same Starpath unit. And after a big firefight on Ferrix, the Starpath unit is destroyed, or at least turned into what we see here. And Dedra has now revealed her hand, proving to Luthen that she has figured it out. And the expression on Luthen's face changes, and his voice even changes. He is no longer putting up the charade anymore of being this gallery owner. As Dedra says, I've dreamt of this moment too many times to even remember. And here you are right under our noses. But as it seems as Dedra has caught him, she tells him that he is finished. She's wrong. She's been too focused on Axis, too focused on Luthen, as Luthen tells her that the rebellion has flown away from here. It's not here on Coruscant anymore. It's not even with him anymore. It's everywhere now. To which Dedra responds with, well, soon enough, you'll be telling us everything you know about that. And as Luthen turns away, Dedra sees in the back room that there is smoke coming out. And as she pulls out her blaster and screams at Luthen to turn around, Luthen falls to the floor. He stabbed himself with the Kit Fisto blade, but Dedra needs him alive. As she calls in all the help around the building to get him a medical transport immediately. Because if Luthen dies, Dedra is done. She's been doing this entire investigation when she wasn't supposed to be. Axis isn't even her project anymore, so she needs Luthen alive at all costs. Back in the ISP headquarters, Supervisor Hurt, who used to be Dedra Miro's assistant, who has been in charge of Axis for 2 years now, arrives as quickly as he can after he found out that Lonnie has died. However, he doesn't even know what Dedra's been up to, and he's in for a rude awakening, as he tells Partagaz that Lonnie has been found dead. Back in the gallery, we see the Empire taking in all the evidence, and here we even get more Easter eggs, a nod towards the Mortis gods with this, which is pretty wild, because Andor's a very grounded series with no lightsabers and no force, and the Mortis gods in the World Between Worlds are a really Force-centered, crazy topic. But we've seen very similar carvings before in a series that takes place right alongside this one in the Star Wars timeline, and that is Star Wars Rebels. We also see the Empire going through the Fawn Door, Luthen's ship. So it seems like we won't be able to get to see this awesome ship in action ever again, sadly. Now, while all of that is going down, we see Kleia in the super secret safe room that Luthen had on Coruscant. In episode 4 through 6 of this second season, Cassian and Bix called this place home. And the last time we saw this super secret safe room was in episode 9, a year earlier, where Cassian took Mon Mothma after he helped her escape the Senate building. And as Kleia is freaking out because she knows what has to be done, Luthen cannot be interrogated by the Empire, so she has to go finish the job. We get our first look at the flashback. In these flashbacks, it's revealed that Luthen was once a sergeant for the Empire. We actually even get to see the Mud Trooper uniform that hasn't been seen since Solo, a Star Wars story. And we see Luthen freaking out as we hear outside the ship that he is in, the Empire is slaughtering all these innocent people on this planet. And as you hear the blaster fire, Luthen is saying, "Make it stop," the title of this episode. But that's all we get from the flashbacks for now. There's a lot more in this episode. As we cut back to Clea in the super secret safe room, as she's taking supplies out of the ceiling. Some explosives so that she can try to go finish the job on Luthen. As we cut back to the flashbacks, we notice that there is somebody stowed away in the ship that Luthen is on, and that is Clea as a child. Now, some fans are starting to question this whole Cassian's sister type deal. Is Clea really Cassian's sister? Well, it's not revealed what planet that they are on, where they are slaughtering all this people. Could it be Kenari, the homeworld of Cassian? And we're still not sure if this girl right here is the same as the sister that we see Cassian leave on Kenari. They look the same a little bit, but they also look pretty different. But you tell me in the comments, are they alluding to Clea being Cassian's sister? Or is his sister just dead? We then cut to the hospital that Luthen is staying at. And this hospital is named the Lina So Hospital. Now that might not mean anything to you, but if you've read the High Republic books, then it definitely does. Because Lina So was the Chancellor of the Republic during the events of the High Republic books. She did quite a bit for the Republic at the time, and they even named this hospital after her. And that's pretty cool because she hasn't been around for hundreds of years. But as we see Clea start to break into this hospital, pretending to be an injured person at first, and then finding a nurse's outfit, we see Supervisor Hurt show up and tell Dedra that she's under arrest. She went too far this time. She hasn't been on Axis for over 2 years. But this seems to be sort of an after effect of Gorman. Dedra was the reason that thousands of innocent Gorman lives were lost. During all that chaos, even her boyfriend, Cyril, was lost too. And clearly she has not been the same ever since. So over the last year, she has been going behind her former assistant's back and still working on the Axis case. And that has led to some distrust in this relationship and even leads to the arrest of Dedra Muro. And as Dedra and the others leave, Clea tries to take this patient and sneak her way to Luthen. Now, this patient may look a little bit familiar because this alien species was also seen in Andor Season 1 on the party planet of Niemos that Cassian goes to after Aldhani, in the same place where he gets arrested and gets put into the prison on Narkina 5. Also, the joke during the live watch party was that this is the grandma of E.T. However, when she goes up the elevator, she is not given access to the floor that Luthen's on. The Empire has shut it down. And as she tries to find another way up, we get more flashbacks of Luthen and Clea. We start to get to see how Luthen becomes this gallery owner as he finds these ancient artifacts and starts to sell them so that he and Clea can make a living, keep food on the table. But one of the artifacts that he's trying to sell is a Deveronian necklace. Now, the Deveronian species in Star Wars has been seen a few times. In the Bad Batch, in Star Wars Rebels, and even in The Mandalorian. But while they are selling this piece, they see the Empire line up a bunch of innocent civilians and execute them. And Clea is really not happy about this. But Luthen tells her the reality of the situation. Right now, there's only 2 of them, and they can't fight back against this galactic empire. They are doing everything they can right now, but we are seeing the seeds of what Luthen eventually creates that we see throughout the course of Andor Season 1 and Andor Season 2. A very interconnected early days of the rebellion, with Luthen having ISB spies and operatives all across the galaxy. So although Clea wants to help these innocent civilians now, there's no way that just the 2 of them could take down the Empire. And this is when Luthen says, "When I tell you to move, you move," in reference to earlier on in the episode. We then cut back to present day, where Clea is making her badass entrance to the 19th floor at the Lina So Hospital. She takes out ISB troopers and even sets off an explosion as a distraction so that she can get to Luthen. And while that goes down, we get a flashback to Naboo. Now, this has been the first time we have returned to Naboo in live action since 2005, since Revenge of the Sith. And here we get to see Luthen pretty much give Clea the option of whether or not she's going to be a rebel. She has to realize that she's giving up everything, just like Luthen is, for this greater cause. And she gives her a test to press this button and join him for this crazy adventure of trying to take down the Empire, or she can walk away now. And as Clea looks over across the restaurant at this happy family eating a meal, she remembers her family that got executed by the Empire for no reason, and she is fully on board this rebellion as Luthen blows up 2 Imperial transports on the bridge right across the way. The relationship between these 2 just keeps getting crazier. They need to work together because the 2 of them together can maybe take down the Empire, or at least start something that will take down the Empire eventually. But Clea still knows that Luthen played a part in killing her entire family, and yet he's still this father figure. So all of this comes to a head in present day when Clea finally makes it to Luthen in the hospital. She has a million different emotions running wild in her head as she unplugs Luthen. She's sad because she loves this man as a father, but also mad because of what he did to her family. And that's enough to pull the cord. And as she leaves the hospital and we see Luthen's dead body, the episode ends. Now, honestly, episode 10 was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. I knew we were going to be getting Luthen's backstory, but I didn't think it was going to be anything like this. Some people thought he would have been a Jedi or a Sith or a Separatist, but him being somebody who used to work for the Empire and realizing that slaughtering innocent lives is not the way, finding this little girl and taking her in, the two of them building this rebel empire was just so damn good. And having that go parallel with Clea actually having to break into this hospital and kill that same guy. And don't even get me started on the whole Dedra and Luthen stuff inside the gallery. And all of that pretty much makes you forget that at the beginning of the episode, Lonnie tells Luthen about the Death Star, about Galen Erso, about Scarab, about all of it, which of course leads perfectly in to episode 11. But if that video's not out already, I'm currently breaking down that episode. Now, episode 10, I give a 9.5 out of 10. It is the perfect backstory for these two characters, and it's honestly probably the best way to kill off this incredible character of Luthen. And it's really crazy that this episode of Andor Season 2 doesn't even have Andor in it, which usually would be a complaint from the Star Wars fandom, but I don't think there's any complaints coming this time. So tell me what you rate this episode out of 10 in the comments section below. Did you like the reveal of Luthen's backstory after all this wait? And was the Dedra finally figuring out who Luthen truly is done to your liking? Tell me in the comments below. And if you've watched that episode 8 and 9 incredible masterpiece from last week, go check out the breakdown I did for those two in this video right here.